Good afternoon, and everyone. It's Allen Murabayashi coming at you live from New York City with another episode of I Love Photography Live. Over there, I have my co-host, Sarah Jacobs, who's feeling a little bit under the weather. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Allen. How you doing?
Now, your hair looks a little bit different since we last broadcasted.
Yes, my hair is purple and
It's
blue.
purple. Oh, purple and blue.
And blue, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't get the blue tint in there.
Oh, you haven't seen the blue tones? Oh,
That's not just
too
a
bad.
Google. It's not a Google effect. That
No,
we're
it's
looking
not.
at effect.
No, it's real life. IRL right here.
You can talk to us by using the hashtag #ILovePhoto. And maybe you're watching us on YouTube at youtube.com/photoshelter, or maybe you're listening to the podcast from iTunes by looking for I Love Photography. In either case, we're happy to have you. Sarah Jacobs, it was PhotoShelter Member Appreciation Week this week.
It was, and we had different deals every single day for our monthly members whenever they went annual. And today is the very last day.
Last day.
We're having no sales commissions on any of your sales on your PhotoShelter site, as well as an offer from Think Tank for a memory card holder. So if you have a lot of memory cards and you need a holder for those, upgrade your account today and you'll get a free one.
Those are good memory card holders, I have to say. I have about 10 of them.
Yeah. How many memory cards do you
Well,
have?
I have memory cards that I put in there just because I don't want to lose them. But yeah, I have a bunch of memory card holders. I guess I don't need 10 of them. I'll give you one.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Last week I had something on the list which I totally forgot to show everyone. And so I said, we're going to start with this week, and it's this promo mailer from a photographer named Clint Davis. And it's just one of these things where you hear about how photo editors hate getting postcards or hate getting emails. It's different for every photo editor. Every photo editor has the way that they like to be approached. But the one thing they all say is when they come across something that's really great, they'll keep it, they'll pin it on their wall, they'll put it into a special box. Well, this thing is like unbelievable. So Clint Davis used to be a photo editor for national publications. So he says on his website that he understands what makes a photo editor want to look at something in the first place. He had a first promo a few years ago, which were pretty good. He had custom boxes. He put a disposable camera in there and cut out foam, custom foam. But this thing is unbelievable. It's like a case. He etched his name on it. He put a drill hole through the postcards because it says "Give me a shot," so it's a play on words with "shot." He had an artist paint a shell casing to look like a Canon zoom lens.
I mean, it's the most over-the-top promo I think I've ever seen.
Over the top.
Over the top. This is not just like a little magazine or lookbook or pamphlet. This is a full-on interactive case. It's amazing.
So he made 50 of these, which he sent out to various photo editors around the country. The guy's a great photographer. He does a lot of action-y type sports and stuff like that. And he customized the set of images depending on who was receiving the photos, which makes total sense. You're not going to send bicycle shots to a food editor. Not that he was sending them to food editors. But this was quite a production. And my question, I had two questions. Question number one, how much did this cost?
Right.
On a per promo basis, this could not have been cheap. I'm thinking probably close to like $50, $60.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Easily, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then you have to do the calculation of what's the return on investment. So he sends out 50. How many jobs does he get for him at what average cost? If this is his only sort of major marketing spend and it yields him 10 major commercial jobs, that could be worth it.
Yeah, I think something as extravagant as this probably will be worth it. I mean, even the video he created of him making all of these promos, I mean, the production value of that was probably high as well.
Yeah.
And that video, I don't know how many views it's gotten, but I mean, that's a good way to extend the promo beyond it's just physically, you know.
Well, clearly, you know, he only sends it out to 50 people, but thousands of more people saw it. Photographers as well as photo editors must have heard about it and then seen it and then looked up his stuff. So
Right.
so I agree with you. You know, this reminded me of Casey Templeton's promo from 2010, which also got a lot of play. He threw together, it was a custom box. He put some goodies in there. He wanted to have this coffee cup stain on it, so they literally took coffee cups and stained each piece in a custom way. He allowed people to pick which T-shirt they wanted, so they'd have to interact with him by sending him a postcard, which I think is smart. The one thing I would say, just to be a Debbie Downer for 1 second, because you know I don't do that,
That's fine.
Will a photo editor think, wow, this guy's a great photographer, or will the photo editor say, why did this guy spend so much time making a promo that shows off like his home ec skills rather than his photography skills?
Right. Well, this one, the Casey one, I'm actually not seeing a lot of his photographs incorporated in the promo. Whereas I think our
Clint,
last guy, Clint, he included the photos. It all makes sense. It all ties together more nicely. And the give me a shot. I mean, that's a great tagline.
And he has a sense of humor about everything as well. It says, it's hard to see there, but it says, take foam out, boom, iPad case. So you can reuse this awesome case that he sent, the Pelican case. And it's just, it really is a work of art.
Yeah, everybody needs to up their promo game. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I know it's a little
slacking
scary,
if you're just making postcards.
You think you have to spend like $50 to $100 per promo. It's a little daunting. I mean, I think when you're at his level, maybe you can do that. But starting out, you got to figure out how to be a little more resourceful, I think.
True.
Over on the Slate photo blog called Behold, the Korean-American photographer CYJO did stunning portraits of mixed-race families. Now, CYJO, I was reading this article. CYJO uses the old one-name deal. And not only is it the one-name deal, but she likes to capitalize everything. So it's CYJO, all capitalized.
You yell it in your head when you read it.
Yell it. Well, you know, to each his own, her own, in regards to how they want their name and their brand to be perceived out there. I thought these were lovely. You know, there's some surprising mixes in there. You know, I think probably some of these images where you're seeing Asians and Asians, the average person is like, oh, what's the big deal? But if you know anything about Asian history, Asians really hate each other. But it's interesting to see kind of how these families. You know, how the mixed race create the offspring, and then just seeing them also in their home and in environmental portrait, I kind of enjoyed.
Yeah, these are really, really beautiful, and the families are just gorgeous. And I love that they're all barefoot.
Yeah, there's a lot of barefoot, probably because a lot of them are in Asia or Asian families. Is my guess. But she shot some of these in the U.S. and she shot some of them in China. So here's one. It's a Chinese-Japanese relationship, and that was historically not a good thing. And even now, the Chinese and Japanese don't like each other. I thought this was here's super cool. American, Italian, Korean.
Yeah, this family is hip.
And then there's the most ridiculous, beautiful family here. This was the American, Indian, Chinese, Dutch, English, Filipino, German, Irish, Japanese, Prussian family, which speaks English, French, and Pidgin English, and they live in New York. And look at this girl. Like, how cool is that girl?
Yeah, she seems amazing. Well, you know, there's this theory that we're all becoming more beautiful as we become more mixed, and this family has the most mixed of them all, of all the series. Well, and they are gorgeous. It's a gorgeous family.
I'm from Hawaii, as you know, and there's historically been a ton of interracial marriage. It's not a fact that interracial marriage yields good-looking kids. I've seen a few experiments gone awry.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just letting you know, it's not an instant silver bullet for beautiful kids.
Okay.
I think you got to pick your spouse or carefully. But you thought this reminded you a bit of Martin Scheller.
Yeah, it did. I had seen this article on Martin Scheller's photographs of mixed race children for National Geographic for an issue that came out last October. But I mean, these portraits, I mean, duh, he always does a wonderful job.
Yeah.
But same thing, only just to focus on the children and not as much on the parents or the entire family, rather, but just what they look like and what their skin tones, are coming out to be, and their eyes. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff.
I never get tired of looking at his style of portraiture. I know, yeah. I mean, at this point, it's sort of gimmicky of himself. But there's something about the straight on, which, typically in portraiture, you're told not to shoot straight on. But straight on with those kino flows, the shallow depth of field, which is obviously a little bit easier to see when the photo's larger. But they're lovely.
Yeah.
Turns out one of my friend's husbands is good friends with Martin, and Martin took a photo of him for use on his website and whatnot, and it's just so cool. Like, you're some normal, everyday dude, and you have your photo taken by Martin Scheller. He's not. He's not of mixed heritage.
Oh, okay.
But those are lovely. I love those. We talked about Boko Haram kidnapping those school-age children and the girls in Nigeria a few weeks ago. Glenna Gordon, who works primarily in Africa, shot the remaining items. They're still missing after all these times, and she got access to some of the remaining items that they had and took photos of these things, like these jumpsuits, uniforms that they wear. And normally I'm not like so big on photographing items like this. I think it can tend to be a little bit gimmicky. It's sort of like when someone passes away and the photojournalist goes and takes a picture of a picture. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it really is the only of these girls that have been missing for months at this point. And the drama in Nigeria is only getting worse. They keep attacking different outposts, and they keep kidnapping kids and whatnot. So this was kind of little jarring.
Yeah, I think they're incredibly powerful. I think the black background also kind of that helps that. And I think we talked about the girls because Amy Vitale's images were being misused.
That's right.
For the campaign, for Bring Back Our Girls campaign. And it's interesting because those images were used not appropriately and not with permission, and they didn't have anything to do with the girls that were missing. But people wanted to put a face, to these missing girls. Yeah. And I just think these images, there's no subject because the girls are gone, and yet they're so much more powerful because it's these remnants of them. So I love this series.
Yeah. I agree with you. The black is sort of powerful because usually when you have product photography, it's typically shot against white. Unless you're trying to make it like really cool. And there's something weird in terms of the context as well. Like when you know that these are the items from the missing girls, the way that you perceive the photo, at least for me, it really changes the perception of these items. Mm-hmm. Like a pink dress against the black, and that the girls have been kidnapped for several months. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, very, very powerful. It's great.
A few things from the New York Times this week. Olivia B. If you don't know who Olivia B. is, Sarah, tell us about Olivia B.
Olivia B. She is a young photographer. She's 20 years old. She's been shooting commercially since she was 15, so for 5 years now. Her first big client was Converse, and she just takes these, incredible shots of youth. We love Olivia.
She's like super cool.
Yeah.
And she's been posting on Flickr since she was 11 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I went over to her Flickr account to sort of see what was up. And the first few images in the first year or so, you see this stuff and you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Because obviously at 11 and you've just picked up a camera or you've had it for a little while, the photos aren't that good.
Right.
And she's experimenting with color in kind of a really cheesy Photoshop way, with desaturating and selectively coloring items and whatnot. And then as you move through the years, you start to see the eye develop, and you see a dependence on using Photoshop to capture images. You see it for friends in the images. You see the emergence of the perception of beauty, which is really interesting. Before it's just like photos of a kid in the frame, but all of a sudden, when I think particularly for girls in Western culture, around 14, 15, around when puberty strikes, they become very aware of beauty from a Western ideal, and they're starting to pose in ways that are sort of classically beautiful or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're mimicking.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see that evolution. But she's like a lovely photographer, and I think that the other part of it is, like, when you're a young person shooting youth, there's a real authenticity to the images. There's access and there's authenticity to the images that you can't get if you were like a 50-year-old dude shooting in the style of a 14-year-old girl.
Right.
Yeah,
the gaze. The gaze is just different. Or there's not in fact, when you're the teen, there's not a gaze. It's just you actually engaging. And I mean, but the question, I always feel like, are we ever going to get tired of these kind of like these film images of youth? Like, is it ever going to pass? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is a look. And it's not surprising to me that her first client was Converse, because they like that look. And we've mentioned Emiliano Granado a few times, and Emiliano has shot for Converse, and he definitely has that sort of filmy, like, it's a beautiful summer day and life is great, life is good kind of vibe to everything.
Yeah, but I think Olivia B's kind of, what's great about hers is it's very innocent. It has this like innocent look to it, which is a little bit different than some of her peers. Like, for example, Sandy Kim, who is also a really young photographer. She has these more like gritty, kind of graphic images, and Olivia is more commercially viable in that it's just very innocent and lovely. So cool.
I've said it before, but with the proliferation of pretty high quality phones, high quality cameras built into phones, where kids are literally picking up the cameras when they're 5 or 6, and they understand this idea of taking a photo. I wonder how many great young photographers we're going to start to see, just because they can get those reps in when they're young, and they can start emulating, and they have access to these filters, and they can experiment so much more than we did when we were kids. And I'm older than you are, but still access, like, there was no smartphones when you were a kid.
Right.
You still had to carry around a camera and take photos and download them to your computer, et cetera, et cetera. So that whole experience of taking photos has really changed, and I wonder what that's going to do sort of culturally for photography.
Right. The next big photographer is going to be a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be like, he just captures that feeling of being 10, It's great.
Well, they have commented on the fact that there are prodigies in things like music and math. There's never really been, or there's been debate about whether there's been a photographic prodigy, someone who at a very young age exhibited the aesthetic and the eye of someone who was much older. And I wonder if now that's going to be possible, just because.
Wow.
It's not the same as like painting, where motor control has to really be very fine. Interesting to see. Let's see what happens in the next generation.
Yeah.
And the second piece that we wanted to show you from the Times is from the Lens blog, and it's the Marilyn Monroe's photo caper in Poland. And the photographer Milton Greene, who worked a lot with Marilyn. So here's the thing. You remember Anna Nicole Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, good Texas girl.
Yeah.
who was a stripper, and then she became a Playboy playmate, and then she married an oil tycoon who was something like 89 years old when she was, in her late 20s. And
Right.
when he passed away, he allegedly willed part of his estate to her, and his kids were all upset, et cetera, et cetera. So Milton Greene, who died in 1985, had like a 29-year-old girlfriend when he was also in his advanced age. And when he passed away, he apparently had a lot of debt. So his 29-year-old girlfriend went about selling a bunch of his prints, which included a lot of the Marilyn stuff, to pay off the debt. And what she didn't realize, or what the purchaser didn't realize at the time, is also acquired the copyright to the images. So it wasn't just the prints themselves or the negatives themselves, but those rights. Well, this guy also got into trouble with the tax authorities or some financial authority, and so Poland confiscated all this stuff and then put this up for auction. So there are some remarkable images. Like this one is lovely.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, sort of
intimate portraits.
Material against black and the white skin, and
Yeah.
And these things went up for auction and fetching a lot of money, and understandably so. Milton Greene's kids are not happy about this because they still feel like it's their property, their inheritance. But in an era where digital didn't exist and it was a big deal to get your photo taken, and you still find these photos. A lot of these had been seen previously. Marilyn stuff, I believe, hadn't been seen before. It's just still blows your mind. 50, 60 years later, you're finding stuff.
Yeah, gorgeous work.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is before they even used strobe, so it was all like hot lights, like Hollywood lights. Neato. I love my selfies. We haven't talked about selfies in a while. Or maybe
we haven't.
I don't know. So this is funny. New York Magazine reports that New York State, Manhattan Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal, she proposed a bill to ban posing with tigers at circuses and county fairs. And, quote, she says they can still pose with bears and monkeys. They just have to take big cats off their list. So there are all these funny Instagram photos of, like, bros in tank tops with tigers.
Oh, man. And these are popular on dating sites, apparently.
Yeah, I guess
all of these.
People who doesn't like a big cat?
Right.
Now, I will tell you, one of my favorite things about traveling outside the country is that when you go to a third world country and you go to the zoo, you can basically, for a given fee, you can basically touch the animals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and where was I? I think I was in New Zealand, and I got to pet a cheetah.
Wow. Did you get selfie with it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. They took the camera.
Oh.
They took your camera and they took a photo for you because they don't want to scare the cat. Like the cat is still a wild animal, even though they've been, in captivity for so long. But they will take the photo for you. And I think I paid like $75 to go with like 5 other people to go pet the cheetah and then take a photo with the cheetah.
I would be scared of the cheetah.
Yeah. So I don't really know what the deal is. Like, why is Rosenthal singling out the tiger?
I don't know.
Tiger selfie.
Something against it. Something against the tiger selfie.
Yeah. Anyway, these aren't real selfies, in my opinion. They aren't. The subject isn't taking the photo. It's just a photo with a tiger.
Yeah, not as special.
Yeah. Not as special. Not really. Shouldn't even really be called a selfie. We shouldn't even talk about it in the context of it. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
I love my Nikon D800.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love that and my Sony RX1. And then Nikon yesterday released the Nikon D810. And DP review, nobody's done the full review yet because obviously it just came out and people have had the units under embargo for a little bit, but I don't think long enough to really test them. And then everyone's saying awesome camera, but sort of an incremental upgrade. And my question nowadays is sort of like, what would be considered a camera upgrade that would just blow people away? It's kind of hard to do in the DSLR arena Because what's really going to be improved? Like, even if the focusing gets twice as fast, does anybody say, "Oh my God, the focusing is twice as fast. What an amazing upgrade"? No, I feel like everything's sort of incremental. This is an amazing upgrade, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um,
What's the deal?
well, I don't remember all the deal. I do know they raised the price by about $400, which is fine. You can expect that. They added much better video support. They did video striping. So for all of the cinematographers out there who know that what that is, that actually ends up being pretty helpful. The one thing that is interesting to me is both the 800E, the sister cameras, the 800E rather, the difference is that they were dealing with the anti-aliasing properties. So all cameras up until this point had an optical low-pass filter, which is a little layer in between the sensor and the sensor cover to eliminate moire effects. So, you know, those weird patterns that you get sometimes when you have a detailed background or like a fence and it looks kind of shimmery and weird. So that's a moire effect. And Nikon is the first or second, I think maybe Sony did it as well, to remove the optical low-pass filter because apparently they found a way around it. And the result is that you can really take advantage now of the actual resolution of the lens. So what does that mean in English? The images should be even sharper than they already are, which is kind of insane. So can you imagine pick one of those Sigma lenses that we talked about in the previous weeks, which is just off the charts, with one of these guys? I think it's exciting. We'll see. Not that I'm going to upgrade.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you going to upgrade?
Yeah, no, you know, the thing is the cameras are so darn expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like it's sort of like with computers. Like, computers are so fast. If you're not really doing anything but browsing the web, then you don't really need to upgrade your computer. And similarly, if you already have a 36 megapixel camera, you probably don't need to upgrade your camera.
Right, just invest in a lens, rather.
Yeah, get a nice lens.
Yeah.
Get a nice lens. ABC News had photos from Niki Feijen for his new book, Frozen. A lot of photographers have gone into old buildings and abandoned amusement parks and old mental asylums. I think like every other month we see the old mental asylums somewhere.
Yeah, mental asylum. Yes, it's got its own category.
But I thought these were really nice. There's
these
a real
look like HDR-ish a little bit.
Yeah, they're a little HDR-ish, or there's something kind of a little bit funky with the post-processing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like it reminds me of, there's that Will Smith movie. It's sort of like that virus takes over and
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. And then they show New York and like Times Square and sort of overgrown, and there's like tigers because the selfie ban doesn't exist back then.
Right.
And here's an ad coming for Niagara Falls. But I kind of got that vibe from these images.
Yeah, you know, I have to say though, from an SEO standpoint, which we like to talk about a lot, naming it Frozen was probably not a good idea. You're just going to get a bunch of Disney movie results.
That is a good point. I'm glad you brought up the SEO implications of the book. Yeah. Good point. Well, check out the book if you like these images, and check out the movie if you like hit songs like Let It Go.
Right. If you like Pixar and Disney.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sploid is a micro-site of Gizmodo, the gadget site. And Micael Reynaud is the photographer who's putting together these trippy GIFs, animated GIFs. I call them GIFs. I know they're GIFs, whatever. But they're not. Yeah, they're not just straight up GIFs. He's actually doing a little slicing of the image, as you can see by this. It's like 3 or 4 different pizzas that are cooking in the oven.
Yeah, that is mesmerizing.
It's mesmerizing. Hey, Sarah J, is it photography?
You know, probably not.
More like videography.
Yeah. In fact, we created a GIF in the office yesterday.
Yeah.
For our email that went out today for Member Appreciation Week, and yeah, we were using video and then sliced it up to make the GIF. So
So it
yeah,
wasn't stills that you used.
right, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, is it art and is it photography? Who knows? I think these are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely art. Love it. They're so fun to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has more stuff on his Vimeo page if you want to check it out. The pizza one, I can't take my eyes off the pizza one.
I know, I want to eat all those pizzas.
You know, whenever you see something cooking in the oven, it always looks so cool. That's all I want to say about that. Our last piece of the day, we've been looking at a lot of photography today.
Yeah, lots of good series.
Yeah, we only talked about one piece of gear, that Nikon, and we talked about some photographer promos, but a lot of photography. This is Sandro Giordoan, who took a series of photos of people like falling down. They're like staged photos of people falling down with all of their stuff around them. And Giordoan says each shot tells about worn-out characters who, as if a sudden blackout of mind and body took over, let themselves crash with no attempt to save themselves, unable because of the fatigue of everyday representation of living, oppressed by appearance instead of simply existing. So how's that for an artist statement?
That's a good one.
Well, and he's posting these on Instagram in case you want to follow him. But these are just, they're just
I wondered.
colorful.
I know, they're so colorful. I feel like it's very, it's commercially viable completely. Like
Yeah.
I love this tennis shot. I want a shoe company to hire him and do this.
Yeah. What would the ad campaign be about? Just like wear yourself out, like work
No.
out till you drop.
Right, exactly. Or fall over in style? I don't know. But on his Instagram, he has videos of him setting up the shots. And it just looks so awkward the way that these bodies are positioned. but you see in the video, it gives you a little behind the scenes, and their heads are resting on these pillows. So they're okay. The subjects are okay.
And are they all different people, or is it all the same person? It sort of looks like a lot of them are the same girl. I can't tell.
Yeah, it does look that way. I thought it was for a little bit, but I think he does use different models. But just, I love the colors.
The tennis shot is definitely the winner.
The tennis shot is the winner. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Every time I see like a coherent photo essay or photo project, I just keep thinking about all the projects that I said I would start that I never started.
Are you going to start one this weekend?
Well, I really have this good idea, and I want to execute it, and I keep seeing things that could be part of the series, but I have to take my camera out. I gotta allocate some time to do it.
Yeah, you do. I'm shooting on Saturday, so.
Yeah, it's not a contest, Sarah Jacobs.
Oh, wait.
Although I have much respect for the fact that you get out and shoot, because I definitely am not doing that.
Oh, man.
Well, you're feeling a little bit under the weather. You've been sipping some of the water the whole time there, so thanks for braving it out for another episode. Episode 21 of I Love Photography, in fact.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. For Allen Murabayashi, no, for Sarah Jacobs, this is Allen Murabayashi. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.